Khakies here. Well, we just had one heck of a nasty storm. Let me tell you about it. We're in the barn today. We're in the boat barn with the Victoria sailboat. Everybody knows we went through a hurricane here in South Texas. I'm going to move my chair a little bit more forward. And it was a heck of a storm. It broke all the rules of a hurricane. When it was first out into the Gulf, it was moving so slow, I told my family that it ain't got time to build before it makes land. Well, and it's not going to build into a serious hurricane, probably be a tropical storm. I'm smoking a Savinelli Porto Cervo with, geez, I'm getting forgetful. It has Carter Hall. I put some Carter Hall in it earlier. I had already started smoking it about 2 hours ago. Well, I learned a lot of lessons about this hurricane. I've been through 2 hurricanes, many tropical storms. It's part of living on the coast. The storm came ashore slower than any storm I've ever heard of. It wasn't so massive, but it was powerful. Massive as in size, covering the whole state. The eye is what you want to be careful of that storm. Anything on the east side of a hurricane generally takes all the flooding, it pushes the sea in. On the west side it generally pulls it out. Well, it broke that rule. It flooded the west side, the east side, some of our neighboring cities to the west of where the storm hit were inundated with rain, wind, storm surge. It was a mess. It tore our town to pieces. And something I didn't know about hurricanes, I could have assumed it, but I didn't know this. It kills everything. And I mean, it kills wildlife like you would not believe. My neighbor's house has 8 dead birds along one door. The other side of the house has dead birds laying everywhere. We don't have a bird in the neighborhood. There's no bird in this part of the state probably that's a backyard type bird. Some of the migratory types are already moving in and out already, some of them blackbirds and such. All of my cardinals, and I had several sets of them. There were male and females that would come to eat every day. They're all gone. Squirrels are gone. Everything's dead. When we got back, we came back early, and we had to drive through water. We left one of our vehicles in the neighboring town because we knew the car couldn't go through the deep water, so we brought the Jeep. And we did make it. I was kind of wondering about that if we were, because sometimes the water was up over the bumper. It rained. It rained 48 inches here. I'm not exaggerating. It rained 48 inches here. In fact, one of the refuges had slightly more than we had. And according to one of the city guys who had stayed behind maintaining the city as best he could, he said it sucked all of the water out of the bays. He said literally he saw the bottom he had never seen in years and years, even at the most extreme low tide. It sucked it out. But he said hours later it came back with a vengeance. It came rolling in and rolling, and the winds came. I have a friend who stayed in his house, and he said the walls vibrated, literally vibrating, in a very strong built house, and the pictures started falling off the walls. He said he thought he bought it. It was a big mistake to stay. He told me I messed up. I said, yeah, I think you did. However, I didn't go that much further than he did. I went about 40 miles north, and we still got in it real bad. Brand new hotel, totally destroyed, flooded with waters, all levels. It was terrible. Anyway, I was telling you about the wildlife. This is the thing that got me. I saw dead ducks, ringneck ducks, laying dead pelicans. Some pelicans were alive, but their feathers were tore off, were gone, and they couldn't fly. I saw dead kitty cats laying around. But birds, I never saw so many dead birds. There were dead birds everywhere. It killed everything. That wind, it was Category 4. I don't remember exactly what the wind speed was, but it sandblasted the paint right off the houses. I mean, stripped the paint. The yellow rose was upside down the street in someone else's yard, upside down in their yard. The Victoria was in the harbor. She was in a slip in the harbor, and she was a block away from her harbor, up along somebody's chain link fence. The cool thing about this boat is it has a solid keel. It's not a swing keel. It's very heavy. I believe it's 550 pounds of either concrete or lead in it. It never went over on its side. It stayed upright no matter what and just bounced its way up across through the neighborhood. And we recovered it with my backhoe. Just drug it across the swamp, just kept adding ropes, drug it. Pretty soon when we could get it near a road, we picked it up and set it back on its trailer. And I brought it here so that I could work on it here in the barn. I'm still, it's amazing what it did to the wildlife. I mean, it killed everything. And comes my big tomcat that walking around over here. His name is Cupcake because my granddaughters named him when he was a very little kitten and they didn't know. Come here. Let me show you. Yeah, he's Big Tom. Maine Coon. Okay, there you saw it. That's enough. But anyway, storm's over in the cleanup. The local law enforcement and such in the community were way ahead of every other town in the area. They had already had resources in here. People cleaning up the town. I volunteered my backhoe, took my backhoe around to the town, scooping up piles so that you could drive up and down the streets. You couldn't get around. We were without electricity for, I'm thinking 2 weeks. It was rough living, but hey, we can do it. I did have a small generator. We would run that generator, cool off the refrigerators and such, and we always had some water because we have a bay right there. So grab 5-gallon buckets, bring them over here for what you need to use them for, that kind of thing. I am amazed though. A month later or so, I was mowing lots back here. Little feather poofs everywhere. Didn't know there were dead birds laying in the grass, just everywhere. And I really miss the birds. Uh, Total destruction, and I'm not talking about the homes and that. We weathered very good here. My house lost some soffit and fascia, a couple of shingles, blew the glass out of the lighthouse at the top of the house. I got the lighthouse up there with a little bitty gear in there that actually turns the light. It all works, but the glass was just shattered out of it, the pressure of the wind. The wind was relentless, and unlike most hurricanes that move through and keep on a moving path, Hurricane Harvey almost stops right in place. Then it wanders around a little bit, it goes up, it moves out of here. Then it does a loop and comes right back around and hits us again. As it hits to Houston, floods them out. He was a mean hurricane. The worst hurricane in the history, I believe, for this area, of course I think the Texas coast is in 1901 was Galveston, but for this area would have been 1961 Carla. And it depends on who you talk to. Some say this was worse, others say no, Carla was much worse. But anyway, we've been very busy with cleanup, all that kind of stuff. I've been watching a lot of videos. What I do is generally playing catch up. I'll spend the whole evening watching all of their videos, and then the next evening someone else's. I start catching up on all of theirs. I really missed them, but we had so much work to do, and so many others in the area are still living with the damage. That's what's been going on in our neighborhood. I wish all of you a happy new year, prosperous and a happy one.